Okay. Yeah,
Cool. So hey guys, I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying the summer that we're having currently. You know, we don't want the rain. Today's topic is basically about just evaluating the previous 6 months for you to go an extra mile further in the next 6 months. And Imogen's just going to go through a few questions that may be bubbling in your mind about the 6 months we've just done and the 6 months that are to come. So yeah.
So I've got quite a few questions here. You want me to repeat any? Then just type in the chat.
I'll try write them in the chat,
I'm
to be
gonna go
honest.
through them quite quickly. So
Cool.
basically, the whole point of this week's call is basically a like reflection of how you feel that the last 6 months have been for you. So how has your life actually changed this year so far? You know, what have you actually accomplished? What goals have you hit? How have you grown in yourself, like emotionally, mentally, spiritually, even physically, like if you've been to the gym, for example? And how much closer to your goals actually are you? You know, has your income actually increased so far this year? Have you tapped into a new level of consciousness? That one's a bit more deep. But have you become more self-aware? Have you developed the skills that you need to in order to get towards where you want to be going? Like, have you done things that make you uncomfortable so that you can then grow from that experience? How many books have you read so far? And I think it's important to acknowledge all of the achievements that you have done this year so far, but also on the same level, like notice the things that maybe you haven't done as well. A few of the questions that I usually ask myself like on a weekly basis are, what has gone well this week? What hasn't gone well this week? And then what am I actually going to do next week to become a better person, to make that week better than the week that's just happened? So maybe on like a larger scale, over the last like, I think it's like 5 months, do a kind of review on how you think it's gone, what you could have done better, what you've actually learned. Like I said, acknowledge the achievements that you have got while still working towards your bigger goals, you know, if you haven't already achieved them. And if you have, then congratulations, that is an amazing achievement. Now we can work on bigger and better ones while being grateful for what you already have in this moment, right? You know, have you set yourself up in the first half of this year to have the success that you want in the second half of the year, you know? And what new habits have you developed? And the thing I want to mention with habits, right? When it comes to habits, instead of trying to just eliminate a habit completely, I would say replace it with a new habit. Otherwise, there's just a gap. And when there's a gap in your habits, you tend to end up falling back to the old habits you have because there's a gap that's been created. So you need to fill the gap that was once your old habit with a new habit, and that will help you keep the habit in place a lot more easier than just trying to eliminate it completely. You know, what new routines have you had in place as well? What new routines have you like put in place for yourself to follow? For example, like a morning routine. Have you got a morning routine to start with? Have you been consistent with your morning routine? You know, do you have a night routine? Do you have certain things that you want to get done in the day? Have you been consistent with getting them done every day? Also, what challenges have you faced so far? And have you actually recognized how these challenges have actually made you feel and what you learned from the challenges? Because it's all well saying that you've gone through challenges, but if you haven't learned from them, then they are losses if you haven't learned from them. Because if you're not going to learn the lessons from the challenges, ultimately you're going to go through the challenge again until you have actually learned the lesson that you need to in order to level up to the next level. You know, how did you overcome these challenges? Because when you have overcome something that you've been facing for a while, and at the time, like, you know, you might not think that you were able to overcome it, but now you have. And looking back, you can actually use this new wisdom and this whole experience to help other people who are also in that similar place that you were once in. And now that you have got out of that challenge, you have overcome it, and you have learnt from it, you can teach that lesson to other people maybe in your team or just even in your life if it's a general life challenge, right? And you can actually help them level up. And sometimes through doing that, you can even help them before it becomes a challenge for them. Because it's actually two ways that we can actually learn from experiences, and that's from our own experiences and from other people's. So, for example, if someone is sharing something that went wrong for them and the reason why it didn't work for them, for example, like maybe a method of prospecting, like going up to everyone like, oh, hey, do you want to make some money? You know how those ones are, how we were in the beginning. If you teach people the right way to do it, you can actually help them avoid going through that challenge. And they can learn from your experience through you sharing it with them. And another question that I want you to ask yourself is, are you still in the same place? Whether that is spiritually, mentally, emotionally, even physically, like if you've been to the gym maybe. Because if you are still in the same place, you're most likely going to feel like you've been stuck in that place for this whole year so far. And to get out of this, like we went through a couple of weeks ago, it all starts with your thoughts, right? Your thoughts determine the emotions that you feel, and ultimately the emotions you're feeling are going to determine the actions. Like if you're not feeling good, you're most likely not going to take the actions required in order to get the results you want. That's just how it is, right? And that's where discipline comes into play as well. Like that's another question entirely. Like, have you actually been disciplined so far this year with what you say you actually want to achieve, or have you just been like doing it whenever you feel like it? Oh, I can't remember what it was. It was in Justin Owen's mixtape. It was like, oh yeah, commitment. That's the one. It was like, commitment is not doing things when you feel like it. It's doing things because you have the principles in place to fall back on them even when you don't feel like doing them. So with that, like within like the daily things that you need to be doing to get to where you want to be, have you been consistent with it, And if you're not, then it all starts with the thoughts, like I said. Like, are you actually thinking about like positive things? Are you thinking of how life is going to be once you've achieved this goal? Are you thinking of what you're going to do to get to that goal? Like, what are your thoughts saying? And therefore, like, how are you actually feeling when you're supposed to be like taking the actions, Because when you do take the actions, most of the time you feel good taking them. And also, just saying that, I want to mention something that Akif went through on his call the other week. He was saying that thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all kind of related. So even if your thoughts aren't in the right place, you can almost create the right thoughts through feeling the emotions that you need to feel, like becoming connected with the goal that you want, or doing the behaviors that will get you thinking in that process as well. So, for example, if you're not thinking like positively, if you're thinking like, oh, I don't know if I could do this, the kind of limiting beliefs that you're saying on yourself, that is going to cause you to feel a certain way. However, if you like do the behaviors or like the actions and start to build up what you're doing despite how you're feeling, you are ultimately going to feel better about yourself because you've actually still put in the work. You've actually still done something for today. And therefore, your thoughts are going to be like, oh, wait, I can actually do this. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just some questions to consider when like doing this, let's say half a yearly review type thing. And you want to go deep into it as well, because this is like 6 months. 6 months is a long time. Like, what has actually gone on in the last 6 months? Pick out the bad times, pick out the good times, and really kind of analyze how it's going for you and find the parts that you can learn from, find the lessons, and then you basically want to learn as much as you can from the last 6 months and focus on how you can apply something differently, what you can do differently, what you can do more of, what you're going to do less of, and what you're going to do better going forward into this second half of the year, which is going to be amazing for everyone. Everyone's going to get such good results the second half of the year. I feel like we've all kind of collectively gone through like this kind of, I don't even know how to like explain it. Like we've all kind of been through similar things, whether we like know it or not. I know that there's a lot of people in the team who have felt the same way through this first half of the year. And I feel like we're all getting to a similar place where we are just ready to go straight ahead. Like we are ready to get this done. And it's
Definitely.
actually amazing to see everyone kind of develop as well, because we're all kind of in the same spot if you think about it. And we're all kind of going through the same things as well. That's why this journey is so like, it's so beautiful in a way to see everyone growing together. Because realistically, where else can you actually find a place like this where everyone is just working with each other to achieve their goals? You know, everyone is just wanting the best for each other, wanting each other to win. Like realistically, where else can you find that type of culture? Like it actually blows my mind sometimes. But yeah, Claudia now is going to go through 4 reasons why you might not be making the progress that you want to be making. Because it's all right, like me asking these questions to you, but obviously you're going to want to know how to kind of move forward from this point. Like we're not just going to give you questions, we're going to also give you things that you can do to help you get back on the right track in order to, you know, smash all your goals, do all the things that you want to get done this year. So yeah, Claudia, go for it.
Thanks, Imogen. I'm just going to add to your point as well, about talking about if you're in the same place. It's almost like if you're not growing, you're dying. You know, everyone's heard that before. And we're meant to grow, we're meant to evolve. And it's funny because we're meant to evolve even when it comes to little things, even when it comes to your morning routine. How are you changing it? Maybe each month or each 3 months to help you grow and to help you develop. Because I've noticed with myself, I had to change a few things around to do with my morning routine because I felt stagnant. Like I was doing it, but I wasn't seeing the results I wanted to. So I had to, you know, review that and stop what I was doing and change it. So yeah, that's what I have to say. So I'll just go through the 4 reasons why you're not making progress. So reason number 1 is you still don't know what you want, or you still don't know what you really want. And this is very important because it's almost like, you know, saying you want to go out to eat with your friends, but you don't know what restaurant you want to go to eat. That's not going to help you get to go to eat. You get me? That's not going to help you go about to eat. So you need to really know what you want, and your decisions will really shape your reality. And I feel like decisions and knowing what you want, like having a desire for your goals and what you actually want, is very key. Because if you can't make the decision to say, okay, I want this, then you can't really move anywhere. And if you don't know what you want, it means you're sending mixed signals to the universe and you don't have clear signals. Because if you're sending clear signals, you would have what you want already. Do you understand? And that's why they always say, you know, success doesn't actually happen overnight. Because yes, you could know what you want, but do you know what you have to do to get what you want now? Like, so that's why it's really essential to know what you want and know exactly what you want, and making the decision to get what you want is essential too, because that means you're ready to take the action. It's like what Imogen said, you think it, you believe it, and then you do it. You know, those 3 things are all to do with making the decision of what you want. And once you decide what you want, the universe will put people in situations for you to get what you want out of your life. Like, okay, so if I wanted to go on holiday. This was something that happened to me like a few days ago, but I wanted to go on holiday from like last year. I said, okay, I'm gonna go on holiday for my birthday. I don't even know when, but I wrote in my calendar, and a few days ago I got invited to actually go on a holiday with someone. And it was just crazy because, like, it might not seem too big to you guys, but it's quite big for me. But yeah, it was crazy because I knew I wanted to go on holiday this year for my birthday. I had been saying it. And the fact that it happened was crazy because I said it, I wrote it in my phone, and, you know, it happened. I made the decision. I knew what I wanted. I knew when I wanted it to happen, you know? And I think it's so essential because sometimes people think that, you know, this is what I want. I need to be at it every single day. But no, you don't need to be at it every single day. What you need to be at every single day is being grateful for what everything you have, and it will essentially bring you to where you want to go. And yeah, like I said, once you decide what you want, the universe brings it to you. And have you made your decisions today? What decisions have you actually made today that is helping towards any goals that you want to reach? I know for me, I want to get a car eventually. And today I spoke to someone about like all the stuff that you have to pay for, looking at different like types of cars that I may want. It may not have been a decision, but I'm, in the process of making the decision of what I want to do. But it's all a journey. So yeah, I think little decisions as well is very important because oh yeah, Lambo. Yeah, little decisions are so important as well because it's like I said with the holiday thing. I just wrote it on my phone. I just did the slot and was like, okay, I'm going on holiday then. And it wasn't something big. I didn't have to pay to do that. I barely did anything to write that down. Do you get what I mean? So sometimes don't be so hard on yourself and allow yourself to understand that sometimes the little things you do make the big difference. And will make your dreams come true. Literally, like whatever you want, you can literally have, guys. Cool. The second reason why you're not oh, go for it.
There was also that reminded me of something Justin Owens said on his mixtape. He was like, little correct decisions lead to like massive momentum and stuff like that. But little like wrong decisions, they will add up as well. So it all comes down to like what decisions are you making? Are they actually gonna like take you closer to where you want?
Yeah, I think it's decisions that are putting you on the path that you want to go on. And no one actually knows what that is but yourself. So, always take that time out for yourself every day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Anybody can do that. And just sit alone and just think about what you want really and just remind yourself. But yeah, as I said, the second one is changing your mind too frequently. And I'm gonna be honest, like I'm probably someone that does this a lot. Like you can be so indecisive at times and it's annoying. I do this with food. I don't ever know what I want to order. But yeah, being indecisive, you need to stick to your decision and you need to stick to it because you want it. You don't have to stick to it because someone else is telling you. And a good example I can give you is, I'm not sure who goes uni here. I don't know who's on the chat. Yeah, I'm not sure who goes uni here, but like, for example, university. I know someone that is, I think she's in her last year of university this year, but she's just dropping out because she doesn't want to be part of it anymore. And I know this person quite well, like I've known them for a long time, and I knew they didn't want to go uni, but they felt the pressure from their parents to go, so they did it and they made that decision, even though it wasn't what they wanted. So they went against what they wanted and didn't really stick to a decision they wanted. And I think that can be really bad. Like for example, she's dropping out now. She's in a sense, she feels like she wasted her last 2 years. But I mean, it was all a lesson. But yeah, finish what you started is another good point. Like, don't start something and not finish it. And we can all say that we've done this before because everyone procrastinates, whether they like it or not. Like it happens, and that's one of the things I want to definitely work on in this next 6 months is really finishing what I start, because I can have so many ideas and so many things I want to do, but then when it's time to really put it into action, sometimes it's like I don't do the things that could help me the most, and then I do things that won't help me as much, and then I notice that they're not really helping me out towards my goals, and then I feel like I'm stagnant. But then I realize, okay, but what was I doing? What was I doing the right things, or was I just changing my mind and doing something else that I wanted to do in the moment or whenever I wanted to do it? Another thing is when you start your morning routine, I think, well, personally for me, my morning routine, I do gratitude. Sometimes I journal as well in the morning. And the gratitude I really do is really setting me up for the day. It's setting me up for what I want to reach in the day, because you have your daily goals. What do you want to do today that will help towards, I don't know, maybe your weekly goal or your monthly goal? So setting goals in the morning for me is really essential. Or even before you go to bed, if you can't do the morning, is pretty good. Just having your notebook and writing it down will help. So you know all the time, okay, if I forget what I'm doing, or if I feel myself kind of, chilling and not actually doing anything, you can go back to your gratitude and see what you wrote down for you to do what you was grateful for, because those are the stuff you want to do, right? So doing that could help as well, or even just writing 3 4 5 things down that you want to get done in the day, so you can always stay focused and not sway and forget to do something or change your mind on something. And also just know what choice is right. And this could be a hard one, sometimes, because sometimes you can have people around you who think they know what is best for you. And I say this in a respectful way, like sometimes people almost just tell you what they want. Sorry about that, guys. Oh my God. Yeah, so sometimes people just be like, oh yeah, do this, it's a good idea, do, I don't know, you want to get these, okay, this is an example for me. I wanted to get these trainers for my birthday, and I went with a friend who I would say, like, I like her style's cool. And we was in the shop now, and I'm basic, but I was happy to get some nice fresh Air Forces, yeah. And she was like, no, get these Jordans, and I was like, I don't know if I like them. Like, when am I gonna actually wear them? Like Jordans, you need to have an outfit with it. I'm gonna be real. So I was like, I don't know. But then I ended up getting them. I kind of didn't know what I wanted probably in the beginning. So that's probably why. But yeah, just focus on the thing you want and work towards it. And you may or may not know what focus means. So it's just follow one course until successful. And that's literally what we're doing here with these Wealthy Wednesdays. That's what we're here doing on IM, these group chats. We're following one course because we know where it leads to. And keeping an eye and holding that end in your mind is very important. Cool. And number 3 is you're spending too much time being distracted instead of focused. So I'm gonna just have to say Instagram, because Instagram is like a killer. It's a killer. You can scroll for days. It's so bad. I try to not scroll too much. But what I did notice though as well is I had to unfollow certain people and certain like celebrities, like, because I just realized like I didn't really feel like they were giving me value. Imogen, can you let someone in the Zoom call? Yeah, I just felt like I wasn't getting as much value from them as I would from, I don't know, those like mindset posts and just stuff that is self-development, or even just IM chairman. I didn't follow many IM chairman, but I was following all the celebrities. Do you feel me? Like I need to make that environment on my Instagram, and then I won't feel as bad if I'm scrolling, because I know what I'm scrolling through is the environment that I want, right? So you can make a bad thing good in a sense. So yeah, just don't spend too much time being distracted. And you can even get distracted within like sorry guys. Yeah, you can even get distracted with friends. Like I'm gonna be real, I have a few friends that I know they are distractions. So it's like they might call me up and I could be doing work, and I sometimes might just be like, okay, let's go, let's go chill. But sometimes you need to stop and really think, okay, but what am I doing this for? Like I'm doing this because I want to be financially free. I'm doing this because I want to be chairman. I want to, retire my mom, buy my mom a house. So why am I getting distracted by other people? Why am I not still doing the work, So just, it's like I said before, you have to stay focused and follow one course until it's still successful. Like that is it. And also ask yourself, like, how are you getting distracted? You need to just sit down and actually notice who is the distraction, who is the actual distraction? Because if you don't know who the distraction is, how are you going to stop yourself from being distracted or getting distracted by them? So that's one thing I had to do. I had to evaluate, like, okay, but who do I hang around with that, doesn't really help me grow? And it's not even in a rude way, but it's just like, okay, I don't feel like we're on the same, how do I say this? We don't have the same mindset. So if I was to come and talk to them about this or about, I don't know, they may not be interested. They may want to just run away. So yeah, like Imogen said, you have to separate sometimes to elevate, because you know sometimes people ain't gonna be with you when you're there, and that's just facts. Like, and number 4 is you're not managing your emotions well. Yeah, you're not managing your emotions well, and this one is very, very key, because I feel like, you know, we are human beings, we are emotional. It's something that we all have, and it's hard sometimes to not get emotional about something. It's hard to not get angry or sad or scared, you know, by what someone has done or a circumstance that you're been going through. And one thing that really helps me kind of, you know, notice it myself and understand and try to improve and elevate, and I'm still improving and elevating, this is listening to Justin Owen's mixtape that Imogen just played in the beginning. Like, adversities, like, guys, like, we face adversities every day, and it's really how you take it. Oh my god, it's really how you take it and switch it around. So for example, let me be transparent. So, oh my god.
I think tablet might have died. Who was it? Alright, I'll just carry on from where. Oh, she's coming back. She's coming back.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Cool. Yeah, so don't get emotional, because one thing I said I was going to be transparent. Yeah, so I noticed in myself in a situation, like, I put my emotions so much into the situation that it was literally almost eating me up. Like, I was so kind of lost, because I was so attached to the emotion, and I wasn't really trying to figure out, okay, first of all, how is this person seeing it? And second of all, how can I see it in a different light where I don't need to get emotional, I don't need to get angry or fearful or whatever? Like, don't let your outside circumstances affect your inside, you know? Don't let the fact that maybe your bank account isn't as much as you want it to be or need it to be affect what's going on inside your mind. Like, even, you know, you have a bill to pay, end of the month, you've got £1 in your account, the bill's what, £40? You don't even have £40. You're not going to have £40 by that time. Like, you don't even know where you're going to get it from. But that's the thing, don't let that affect you. Don't let that, the fact it's not physically there, affect that it can't be there, because just because it's physically there doesn't mean it's not there, right? Like, you know, you have to be really cutthroat. Like, you have to not allow things to get to you. And it's all really learning about yourself when you're developing this, and just understanding who you are, because things are going to trigger you and they might not trigger someone else. So you need to kind of find out what triggers you and work on it. Like, how can you improve that? And I think, I don't know where I heard this from, but it's like, say, you know, someone has a situation that they dealt with quite well, or maybe they've just been through it. Ask them how they got it through it. Like, ask them how they got through that circumstance, or how they got through, you know, believing that there was money coming, even though their bank account said otherwise, you know. And don't even get attached to the outcome as well. And that's something I did, and I noticed myself doing it, and I noticed myself slipping away. So back in January, I had a goal that I wanted to reach by the end of January. And, you know, January got closer and I hadn't reached the goal. And it was just, I could see myself almost slipping away, like, oh, damn, like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like, I haven't reached the goal. And that was me getting emotionally involved with it. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to get so emotionally involved that you start doubting the goal. You want to be emotionally involved that the goal's going to happen, and that, you know, even if it doesn't happen today, it's still going to happen. Today wasn't the right date, you know? That's how you got to look at it. Like, but yeah, you can't be emotional and expect to be successful. And that's how I'm going to end it for you guys. Like, you cannot be emotional and expect to be successful, you need to control your emotions. But yeah, I'm going to give it over to Imogen to explain to you guys why growth is important in network marketing.
Thank you. You smashed that one. Took some notes from that as well.
Thanks, sis.
So yeah, personal growth, and in order to grow, it's not necessarily something that happens automatically. Like, to grow and become a better version of you, you have to have the right intentions. So in order to grow, you must be intentional. But if you think about that in itself, if you want to grow, that's kind of an intention in itself, in a way. So yeah, your successes in your life are a result of your own personal growth, you know? As you grow, like inside, like in your mind and stuff, and the mindset side and spirituality side, it will start to show up in the physical. You know, we've been told this quite a lot, but like I said the other week, like, have you actually taken it in? Like, do you actually consider these things when you're going through these challenges? Like, do you refer back to your notes? Like, do you remember the things that you say that you've learned when you're going through the hard times? Like, do you remember how to use what you know to get out of like the rut that you're in? Maybe, you know, personal growth and working on yourself with like personal development, it's a silent investment, right? It doesn't show up, it doesn't grow up. But yeah, it doesn't show up, it grows up, if that makes sense. So your success in your life is a direct like correlation to your own personal growth as well. So as you grow more and get more successful like internally, your external success will have to catch up at some point, like by default. So yeah, your personal growth is a silent investment. Like, it doesn't speak up, it shows up. So write that down if you need to. Yeah, you don't have to speak up either. Like, just get the results to start showing up for themselves. But there's good news for all of us, right? Because our organization, it already has like the passion to help us develop as people as well. And we are literally immersed in a growth environment. Like, if you think about it, like I said earlier, when you like really sit down and think about this opportunity, like what we are actually doing here, where else can you find so many people across the globe working together, just trying to see each other win, you know, just trying to help each other level up. Like, it's actually insane. But yeah, I want to talk about questions to ask your mentors, right? So when you're talking to your mentors, show up intentionally, because remember, like, growth requires the intention. So yes, I guess you can like grow by default through like all of these things that you're going through. Like, obviously you're going to grow through the experiences, but think about the questions that you're asking in order to get better answers to then help you better through like challenges, if that makes sense. So like, what things are you actually going through? How did your mentor actually deal with this when they were going through it? How did they deal with maybe like negativity? What books and audios did they read? Because we know like books and audios are like one of the main sources of personal development, right? You have to show up intentionally. And as I said earlier about like learning from your own experiences and your mentor's experiences, you can actually cut your learning curve. So you can either like make the same mistakes that your mentor has made yourself through maybe like not listening to them, not being coachable, or you can take in what they have told you about how to kind of avoid it and use that in your own way to like turn that experience into a positive one and cut your learning curve, right? But you have to just do everything with an intention. So I know Akif is doing a Q&A later. I am going to ask these questions. Feel free to ask them first, you know. But yeah, these are some questions that you should consider asking any of your mentors at any opportunity you can. So the first one is, What is the greatest lesson that you have ever learned? Number 2, what are you learning right now? Number 3, how has failure actually shaped the life that you live now? Number 4, what have you read that I should read? Again, that's a very good one. What have you done that I should do? I feel like this is also a good one, but also like, you know, considering we're given like the blueprint and everything like that, follow the blueprint to a T as much as possible before you then go to your mentor. And another thing that I picked up from Mornings with Nina, right? He says, don't go to your mentor until you've actually tried to find a solution for the problem you're going through yourself. You know, like show a bit of initiative, try every possible opportunity or solution, but try to find every solution that you can to the problem you're dealing with, and only then go to your mentor and then tell them the things that you've tried, tell them what you have tried to do to overcome it, and then they can give you like the correct solution, and they can even say like, oh, you could have done this, but just like tweaked it a little bit, you know, because you might be so close to the right track. But yeah, that's something that you should consider before like just going to your mentor about any random thing, because especially if it's like with regards to like trading or building, like we have blueprints in place. We literally have Go Live, which will teach you everything you need to know how to trade yourself, right? So, you know, consider these things before you kind of go to someone who, I don't want to be like rude about it, like it's not necessarily wasting time, but if you can learn it yourself, then you don't really need your mentor's help with it, if that makes sense. Like go to your mentor when you are struggling and you have kind of exhausted all the other possibilities, if that makes sense. The next question is, who do you know that I should know? That's a big one for like, you know, prospecting as well. And the last one is, how can I add value to your life? So instead of trying to maybe keep taking everything, like all the value that your mentor is giving out or the leaders are giving out, try and see if there's anything that you can add back to, you know, maybe just show some appreciation or gratitude, because, you know, everyone's trying to like take information from all of these leaders. You know, I guess if you would want to stand out a little bit more, just like be that one person who's like, hey, I actually appreciate you. Is there anything I can actually do for you? Do you know what I mean? Also, another point I just want to mention quickly is in regards to like the reflection side as well, like think of this business in a real world perspective, and as if it was maybe like a proper job. Let's just say, if you don't show up, you're going to get fired. If you're not producing results, then you're going to get fired as well. So if this was not like the opportunity that it is, with the freedom that kind of comes with it, would you still have access to this opportunity if it was in a normal environment? Like really ask yourself that, like, are you actually doing any work for this? Are you actually producing any results? You know, are you actually working for this? Do you actually want it enough to like make the sacrifices, to do the things necessary? Like you have to be savage with this, right? If you come along with the like doing it when you feel like it, then, you know, can you really just show up to work when you feel like it? Do you know what I mean? Like you have to build the consistency, guys. Come on. And also, I just want to quickly mention that you shouldn't be scared of failing. In fact, failure should be your friend, right? Failure is not actually the problem that we're facing. It is the negative response to the failure that you've had that is the problem. Because the perspective of failure actually determines if it's your friend or your enemy, right? You know, perspective is one of our higher faculties. You know, letting like your demons within you take over when you have a negative perspective is when you actually lose. And that's exactly what they are trying to like get you to do, you know? But how do you actually know when failure is your friend or not? The only way that you can know whether you are friends with your failures or your failures are your enemies, and obviously you want to be friends with them, is when you actually value the lessons that failure teaches you. When you actually start to see the value in the lessons that you learn from the mistakes you make, the failures you take, right? They're not failures anymore, you know? They're not friends because you've learned. You know, every adversity comes with a seed of opportunity. I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times if you've been on mornings with Nano or even just on our calls, to be honest. But it's so true, right? Everything that could possibly go wrong will always have a seed of opportunity. You know, and also another thing that you could do, right? If someone is sharing like their disappointments with you, or maybe someone who like might be keeping you a bit distracted, like Claudia mentioned earlier, ask them what they learned from like the challenges they're going through. Help the people around you as well kind of have that paradigm shift with you, you know, because in order to put yourself in a better position, you have to put yourself around other people who are growing as well. Like, ask yourself this, right? Who are your 3 closest friends, and are they growing? Yes or no? There's only really a yes or no answer, because it'll be obvious if they are growing, right? You know, are they on this journey with you? They might not necessarily have to be in IM, but are they willing to do what it takes to grow, like, as a person? Because, like Claudia said, right? If they're not willing to grow with you, then you are eventually going to be so far ahead that they will say like, oh, you changed. They will say like, you know, things like that, because you have changed to them. But the reality is that they haven't changed, and we're meant to evolve. Like, you're not meant to stay the same forever. Like, that's what a lot of people actually do throughout the whole life. They stay the same. They stay, you know, they stay like stubborn in their ways. They don't have like a desire to learn anything. They don't really take lessons from failures. You know what I mean? So, are you actually growing with the people who are around you? That is a key one as well. So yeah, be careful who you hang around with, because growth is the separator between those who actually succeed and those who don't. So there's actually this quote, and it was like, where you're going to be in years, where you're going to be in 5 years, just look at your friends. And that really, like, that explains it all, right? But yeah. Oh yeah, and another thing, do you have a plan of action for the next 7 days, let alone the next 30? Like, we talk about 30-day runs, we talk about 60-day runs, we talk about maybe 90-day runs, but do you even have a plan for the next week? Like, let's not get carried away here. Like, it's good to have bigger goals and stuff, but do you actually know what you're going to have to do to get them? Or are you just kind of winging it in a sense? You know what I mean? Yeah, these are just some things to consider going into the second half of this year. Like, I'll just repeat the questions that I said at the start. So, how has your life actually changed in 2021 so far? You know, what have you accomplished? What goals have you hit? How have you grown yourself? How much closer to your goals actually are you? Have you actually increased your income? You know, have you tapped into the new level of consciousness? Have you become more self-aware? Have you got uncomfortable? That's a big one, because you're not going to grow unless you can learn from the new experiences that come with getting uncomfortable, right? Have you read any books this year? And also, instead of like only focusing on what you might not have done this year, remember to acknowledge how far you might have come, right? Acknowledge what you have achieved this year so far. And then, yeah, let's all have a great rest of the year, guys. Claudia, do you have anything?
No, you really said it all, really. It's just reflect on what you want now for the next, you know, as you said, 7 days. What do you want in the next week? What are you going to do that's going to help towards the end of the year? Like, what is your goals for the end of the year? I think that's just key, like staying close to that and understanding what they are and what you want them to be. And, you know, asking people for help is so essential as well, because, you know, sometimes you don't know everything. So I would say definitely, you know, if you're not sure who to ask, just, I don't know, drop it in the group chat. Maybe there's someone that has been through what you're going through, you know, you never know. So, and yeah, follow us on Instagram too, you know, we could help you out too, we don't know. But yeah, that's really it for me, Imogen, this week.